I'm going to run the orthophosphate test, or the reactive phosphate test, and I'm going to use these other vials. There is a small amount of reagent in the bottom of these vials. I think I had that right before. So for the orthophosphate, we're going to pipette 2 milliliters of the sample. In this case, we're using the filtered sample, and then 0.2 milliliters of reagent B, which is this guy right here. And then we're going to use a different dry reagent. So for the total phosphorus, we use the dry reagent that's in the current cap. But for the inorganic phosphorus, we're going to use a different reagent that is like baby fingers to get it out. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so I'm going to use reagent that's in this gray dosicap for the inorganic phosphorus. And so the test that you're going to see is assessing orthophosphate, or SRP, which is bioavailable phosphorus in this water. And you will do this test after you get to a certain point with the total phosphorus digestion. So there's a few more steps on the total phosphorus that we'll need to do, but then you basically have a sample that is full of inorganic phosphorus after digestion, and so the test that you do for inorganic phosphorus is the same at the end for both tests. Okay, so let's start with 2 milliliters of sample. And we're going to be using sample 1 filter, and shake it up. Okay, so we need 2 milliliters of filtered sample. It's 1. 2, and then we need 0.2 milliliters of reagent B, and we want to, per directions, immediately close this. I need to come back and screw that on. So 0.2 milliliters of reagent B. Let me make sure that's screwed back on. And then we're going to be using the gray dosicap that we got from the sample kit. So not the dosicap that was on the original vial. So we're going to screw that on, and then we'll invert it 2 to 3 times so that that dry reagent gets mixed in with the other 2 reagents. And then we need to wait 10 minutes. So somebody will start a watch or reuse the sample on here. And we wait 10 minutes, and then we'll do a measurement. And this is going to be a measurement of inorganic phosphorus. Always important to keep all your samples straight. Okay, we've reached our 10-minute time limit on the inorganic phosphate, or SRP, so it's time to insert into the spectrophotometer and barcode program. So now it's ready for okay, so you can see it's measuring phosphate. Okay, so what we're seeing is a problem that we run into with phosphate. It's at very low levels in most freshwater systems today. If you remember, we talked about the removal of laundry detergent, phosphates in the 1970s, and then dishwasher detergent, and also the improved treatment at wastewater treatment facilities, especially in this area, and that freshwater systems in the water column are phosphorus limited, and so there's a lot of uptake that goes on, and so we usually have very low levels of phosphate. This particular spec uses this very small cuvee test file, and so it doesn't have enough sample to look through to get a really good measurement of phosphorus, which should be in the micrograms per liter area. And so that's why we're seeing a negative here. We would have to use another spec with a different cuvee to get a more accurate measurements. So we're a little bit hit and miss on the phosphorus measurement. Some years, most of them come out with positive numbers. Sometimes they don't. And so this sample, we're not going to be able to really assess